11 players, 11 different jobs. And almost nobody outside hardcore fans actually knows what half of them are supposed to be doing. You've probably watched a World Cup match and heard commentators throw out words like false nine, double pivot, or inverted winger, and just nodded along, pretending you understood. Today that stops. By the end of this video, you're going to understand every single position on a football pitch, what they do, why they exist, and the one surprising truth that connects all of them. Most goals aren't scored by strikers running fast. They're scored because of decisions made by players you've never even noticed. Let's start at the very back. Literally, the goalkeeper. This is the only player allowed to touch the ball with their hands, but only inside a specific box in front of the goal. Step outside that box, and suddenly they're just a regular player who happens to be wearing weird gloves. Why does this matter? Because the goalkeeper is the last line of defense. One mistake and it's a goal. No redo. No second attempt. It's the most unforgiving job in sports. Here's something wild. In the 2022 World Cup, Argentina's Emiliano Martinez became a national hero not by scoring, but by stopping shots in a penalty shootout. An entire country celebrated a man who didn't score a single goal in the final. Let that sink in. Modern goalkeepers also have to be good with their feet now, almost like an extra outfield player. Some teams literally build their entire attack starting from the goalkeeper's pass. Wild, right? The guy whose main job is stop the ball is now expected to start moves with his feet like a midfielder. Now, let's move up the pitch to the defenders. First up, center backs. Think of them as the bodyguards standing directly in front of the goal. Their entire job is simple to describe but brutally hard to do. Stop the other team from scoring. They block shots, win headers, and read the game one step ahead of the attacker. Here's the part most people don't realize. A great center back doesn't make flashy tackles. A great center back makes the game look boring because nothing dangerous ever happens near them. If you're a center back and people are talking about you a lot during the match, that's usually bad news. Quick comparison, imagine a bouncer at a club. The best bouncer isn't the one breaking up fights every 5 minutes. The best bouncer is the one where fights never even start. That's a center back. Next, fullbacks. These players patrol the wide areas, left and right side of the defense. Old school fullbacks just defended, stayed back, did their job quietly. But here's the twist that changed modern football completely. Fullbacks started sprinting forward to help attack too. Some of the best attacking players in the world right now aren't strikers or wingers. They're fullbacks. Why? Because if your opponent only has to defend against forwards, defending is easy. But if suddenly a defender is also flying down the wing at full speed, where do you even look? It breaks the opponent's brain. Confusion creates space. Space creates goals. There's also a sneaky version of this position called a wingback, basically a fullback on steroids, attacking even more aggressively, sometimes playing almost like a winger. We'll get to wingers in a second. Now here's where it gets interesting, midfielders. This is the most misunderstood area on the entire pitch because midfield isn't really one job. It's at least 3 different jobs disguised as one position. First, the defensive midfielder. Think of this player as the security guard standing in front of the defenders. Their job is to break up the other team's attacks before they even get close to goal. They intercept passes, win the ball back, and protect their back line like a shield. Here's a stat that blows people's minds. Some defensive midfielders cover more distance in a single match than any other player on the field. Not strikers. Not wingers. The guy quietly running back and forth in the middle, doing the unglamorous work nobody notices. Second, the central midfielder. This is the connector. The player linking defense to attack. If the team is a body, the central midfielder is basically the spine. Everything passes through them. A good comparison? Think of a busy airport. The central midfielder is air traffic control. Passes coming from defense, passes going to attack, all routed through the middle. Third, the attacking midfielder. This player sits just behind the strikers, hunting for the final pass that creates a goal, what football fans dramatically call the assist. This position requires creativity, vision, the ability to see a passing lane that literally didn't exist half a second earlier. Here's a fascinating fact. Some of the greatest players in football history, players you've definitely heard of even if you don't watch football, made their entire careers from this single position. Not by scoring the most goals, by creating them. Quick pattern interrupt. Notice something? We're already deep into this video, and we haven't even reached strikers yet. That's intentional. Most beginners think football is just kick ball into net. But by now you're realizing it's basically a giant chess match with sprinting. Let's keep moving. Wingers. These players hug the sidelines, the far left and far right edges of the pitch, and their entire purpose is speed and unpredictability. They run at defenders, attempt to dribble past them, and either cross the ball into the box or cut inside to shoot themselves. Here's something most casual fans don't know. Modern wingers often play on the opposite foot side. A right-footed player plays on the left wing, and a left-footed player plays on the right wing. Why? Because it lets them cut toward the goal and shoot with their stronger foot instead of crossing the ball away from danger. This single tactical trick has completely transformed wing play over the last 15 years. It sounds small. It changed everything. And now, finally, strikers. The position everyone thinks they understand, but mostly don't. A striker's job sounds simple: score goals. But there isn't just one type of striker. There are several, and confusing them is exactly why casual fans get lost watching commentary. The target man, big, strong, physically dominant, often used to win aerial duels and hold the ball up while teammates catch up. The poacher doesn't do much for 90 minutes until suddenly, in one split second of space inside the box, the ball is in the net. These players don't need to be involved in the game constantly. They need to be involved exactly once, at exactly the right time. And then there's the false nine, possibly the most misunderstood role in modern football. Instead of staying near the goal like a traditional striker, this player drops deeper into midfield, dragging defenders out of position, creating chaos and space for teammates to exploit. Here's the mind-bending part. A false nine sometimes scores fewer goals than a normal striker, but creates more goals than almost anyone else on the pitch. Some of the most dominant attacking teams in modern football history were built entirely around this single confusing role. So, here's a question for you. If a striker barely scores goals but still makes the team better, is he still doing his job? Football fans have argued about this exact question for over a decade. Now, let's zoom out, because here's the part that ties this entire video together. Football isn't really 11 individual jobs. It's one connected system. Defenders protect space so midfielders can control the game. Midfielders distribute the ball so attackers can exploit gaps. Attackers stretch the defense so midfielders get more room. It's a loop. Break one part of it, and the whole structure can collapse. That's why a weak link theory exists in football. A team is often only as strong as its worst player, not its best one. A genius striker means nothing if your defense leaks goals every single match. This is also why football fans obsess over formations. The numbers you see like 4-3-3 or 4-4-2 aren't random. They're blueprints describing exactly how these 11 jobs are arranged on the pitch. Here's something that might surprise you. Formations aren't fixed shapes. They shift constantly during a single match, sometimes within seconds. A team might defend in one shape and attack in a completely different one. Watching closely, you'll start noticing fullbacks becoming midfielders, wingers becoming strikers, and strikers dropping all the way back into midfield. It's basically a live, constantly shifting puzzle, and once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it. This is also exactly why World Cup commentary suddenly makes more sense once you understand positions. When commentators say a team is playing with two strikers or dropping into a back five, they're not using jargon for the sake of sounding smart. They're describing a tactical shift that just changed the entire structure of the game in real time. So, let's bring it all together. The goalkeeper stops the unstoppable. Center backs protect the goal like bodyguards. Fullbacks add surprise attacks from wide areas. Defensive midfielders destroy attacks before they start. Central midfielders connect the entire team like a spine. Attacking midfielders create the moments that end up on highlight reels. Wingers bring speed and chaos down the sidelines. And strikers, in all their different forms, finish the story everyone else spent 90 minutes writing. Here's the one thing to remember after watching this video. Football isn't about one superstar doing everything. It's about 11 different roles, each incomplete without the others, working together like gears in a machine. Take away one gear, and the whole machine slows down. Next time you watch a match, don't just watch the ball. Watch the player without the ball. Watch the fullback making a run nobody's covering. Watch the striker dropping deeper to create space. That's where the real game is actually happening. If this finally made football make sense to you, that's the entire goal of this channel, taking confusing sports stuff and making it click instantly. Hit subscribe if you want more of this before the next World Cup match kicks off, because trust me, once you understand positions, you'll never watch football the same way again.